In 2020, I walked in with my real estate agent into a home I was looking to purchase. There was about 6 to 7 offers on the table. All of them were cash offers. In fact, some of those offers had no contingencies, no inspections or nothing. My agent, she looks at me like, how much money do you have in your bank account? It's like, I got like 3K. She looks at me with the most underwhelming look. She's like, hey, could you ask your parents for about $40,000 to $50,000 so that we can put on a down payment on this house?
What?
Crazy. You're crazy. Like what? You want me to ask my parents for 50 grand? Like at this point, they might as well just buy me the house. Fast forward to October of 2025, and I was able to put $225,000 down on my first home as a 25-year-old. Here is exactly how I did it. So let me take y'all back to April of 2020. 20 years old. I have no real estate experience or knowledge. I have no trust fund and I have no rich uncle. All I had was a IT job and just a decision to, say, hey, I'm gonna figure this thing out. Now, what most people won't tell you out here is that, they stayed at their parents' house. Like for me, I stayed at my parents' house, and that was what was allowing me to be able to save so much money within that 5 to 6 year time frame between 2020 and late 2025. Do not be embarrassed about that. Use that time to stack up and save your money. Over that time frame, I was able to save about at least over $60,000 to $70,000 just on rent that I would have been paying to some random person, but I was able to keep that in my pocket. And my parents only charged me about $500 a month to pay rent to them. So I was able to save a ton of money from that regard. And I think it's very important to stay down before you come up. Stay with your parents, live with your parents or your roommate or whatnot. The second thing that I also did was that I made the decision to get a second remote IT job. This is the pandemic, so there was a lot of remote IT jobs. Can't say it for right now, I'm not sure. But working those two remote IT jobs allowed me to make so much more money. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out there and work two jobs, but find whatever version works for you, right? Some of y'all might be entrepreneurs. You might have a booming business on the side and you can work that. Some of y'all might have a business full time and you're doing that and you can hustle and grind that out. Whatever fits your boat, you want to cater all this to what works for you. And for me, in that case, the fastest way for me to make as much money as possible was to just get a second job and work two jobs at the same time. So the first key of these 3 keys I'm about to give y'all is that number one, you need to make sure you fix your credit or get your credit right. Credit is super important when it comes to buying a house or taking on any debt. And so if you're trying to buy a house and you have a bad credit score, your interest rate is going to be significantly higher. Let me show y'all. It could do numbers on y'all. It could do a lot of bad numbers on y'all, and you're gonna end up paying so much more money where you could have saved it had you had good credit. So I paid all of my bills on time. I kept my credit utilization low, and that allowed me to get a high credit score, which when you have a high credit score, it shows to the lenders that, hey, this person is worthy to take on debt. He's gonna pay it back. And so that allows me to get a better interest rate on any loan that I'm trying to get. So you want to make sure you keep this on lock and keep this as their main focus. The second thing I did is I went out and got certifications. In whatever field that you're working in, I work in the IT space, there are many certifications. I was able to get about 3 to 4 Microsoft certifications, one of them being a cloud certification that was able to increase my income as I was working these two jobs from home. So in whatever field that you're working in, I'm sure there's some certifications or you could go to school or do something to increase your income, and that's what I went out to do. Those opened up better IT roles. I didn't wait for any raise. I went up and built up my skills so that I could command for a better, higher paying skill and got the credentials that made me worth more. That house isn't gonna wait for you. You have to go out there and go get it. That's one thing I learned. The third key is that I saved my money super aggressively. Now, I used a high yield savings account that I was sending over my money to, and I was saving so much money that I was getting paid about $600 a month in that high yield savings account just because of how aggressively I was saving. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't live your life, you shouldn't have fun. You should have fun, but what I'm trying to say here is that you need to better track what is going in and what is coming out. Because if you cannot manage $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000, there's no way in hell that you will be able to manage a $400,000 mortgage over the life of a 30-year loan. Keep that in mind. So in October of 2025, I was able to purchase my first home, a 4-bed, 3-bath house in the Phoenix metro area were $457,000, and I did not need to sell a single stock to do so. It all came from savings. But here's the part that really changed the game. I was able to get an assumable mortgage at a 2.25% interest rate, a VA loan assumption, which changed the game. I'm sure you guys are all wondering what the hell a VA loan assumption is, so I'll just real quick explain that. A loan assumption is where you're basically taking the purchase price of a home that the person's trying to sell the home for, and you subtract it by the existing amount of the mortgage that is on the home. So if somebody's selling a home for $400K, they have $200,000 left on their mortgage, that's going to subtract to $200,000 that you're going to have to put down on the home. So I was able to pay that difference as a down payment in order to get this home. And I got the 2.25% interest rate because that was the interest rate that they had gotten in 2021 when they bought the home. So the key thing about a loan assumption is that you inherit all of the terms and everything that they did when they bought the home. So that person bought the home in 2021, they got a 2.25% interest rate. I get to keep the 2.25% interest rate. The loan just transfers to you, hence the reason why it's called an assumable. You are assuming the loan. And if you look at that time's rates in October 2025, interest rates on a home were probably about 6.5%, but I got 2.25. So it's 3 times less the interest that I'll be paying over the life of a loan because of that decision that I made. And over 30 years, if you do the math, that is a lot of money that you will see over that life of that loan. It would have been significantly more at 6.5%. You're probably, if I'm not mistaken, you'll probably be paying up to probably $1 million at the end of that loan in those 30 years because of all the interest you're paying to the bank. If you guys want a more in-depth video of a loan assumption, I can break that down. Just comment below and we'll break that video down for you guys, because it's very interesting because not a lot of people know about it. So I think it's something that if somebody's out there and they're saving a lot of money and they want to do this, just comment down below and I can run down the process. Now here's one thing to know, just a food for thought for people that when they are going through this house buying process, one key you want to know is that please, if you have your money like I did in a separate bank account or whatnot, or you have your money in a high yield savings account, or you're going to be pulling money from the stock market in order to put down on your home, please, when you start searching for a house, just have the money ready in your bank account, because I had almost lost out on this deal because I had to wait for the money to transfer from Vanguard, the money that I had in my high yield savings, into my bank account. My mom had always, I know she's probably watching this, she's gonna be laughing when she sees this, but she kept telling me to transfer that money and I was procrastinating. I just wanted to keep getting as much interest as I could, and that could have really wrecked me. Luckily, we were able to work something out. She was able to pay the money, and then as soon as the money hit my account, I just gave her the money from there. So shout out to my mom for that. But again, for y'all, do not make that mistake. My mom was my real estate agent, so everything really went smooth. It didn't go smooth, but I was just really lucky in that aspect. So don't make that mistake. Buying a house, just transfer the money to your bank account, to your checking, and just have it there so that when the deal comes, you are ready to just put whatever money that they ask for ready to go. So look, y'all, I'm not telling all this information to flex on y'all or do any of that stuff. If you know me, you know I'm not that type of person. I'm telling you this because obviously things are hard out there. The economy is crazy and it's only getting worse, and we Gen Zers are kind of getting the bad end of the stick. But I will say, I think it is definitely possible. It may take longer for us than it did for our parents to buy a home, but I think it's absolutely possible if you put your mind to it and you just find a way. It may take, for me, it took me 6 years, almost 6 years. It might take you 7, it might take you 3, it might be shorter, it might be longer for some, but I think you just gotta really make sure you stay the course, keep Christ first, and let him guide your direction. So I started with $6,000 and a decision. The credit, the income, the saving, those were all the steps that came after the decision. So if you're watching this and thinking about buying a home, which I think you probably are, make the decision, all right? Focus on just making that decision. Then figure out the steps, and I'm gonna help you with those steps. I'll be dropping videos about Bitcoin, how loan assumptions work, etc., anything finance related. So if you are interested in the content, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the videos, so that we can continue to grow on our financial journey here. If you'd like me to personally help you with your budget, I do one-on-one coaching. So go ahead and click on the link below and we'll be able to set up a call or something and discuss your budget. Without further ado, it's your boy Frankie T. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure you stay clear, cut, and concise in everything that you do. Peace.
Keep your feelings alive. Keep your feelings